How to pick the perfect keywords for your Google Ads campaigns. This is something that most people struggle with, and here at Tradesman Digital Marketing, we put a ton of focus on researching the best keywords for our customers so that they have great results when they first start off the campaign and give them the highest probability of success. In today's video, I'm going to show you exactly how we research our keywords, what we look for, things to make the process a little easier, and essentially how everything goes about. So without further ado, let's get into it and figure out how to find the best keywords for your campaign. Now, before we begin, I did want to mention that generally when you're creating a Google Ads account, you want to come up with a plan of the actual services you're targeting. I'd highly recommend going after your most profitable services. The reason being is the most profitable services are going to be essentially the fail-safe. If they can't be profitable on Google Ads, chances are your other lower profit margin products will also not be successful. So I always recommend starting off with the massive profit margins, or as high of a profit margin as possible, to give you the best likelihood of success. Also, making sure that you're getting the biggest bang for your buck with Google Ads. If you're going to be spending a lot of money anyways, you might as well get the biggest return. Chances are, if you do fencing, it's going to be fencing installation that brings in the most amount of money for you and the most amount of profit, as opposed to like small fencing repairs or, something other than that. Same as with pools. If you're selling pool installation as opposed to, products for pools like chlorine, you're generally going to make more money on the pool installation. So that's kind of the example I want to give you. Make sure you come up with this beforehand. That way, when we're researching these actual keywords like I'm going to show you now, it's just a little easier on you. So what we're going to do is very, very simple. We're going to come into our new design in Google Ads, as Google Ads has essentially updated all of this stuff and they're getting rid of the old design. I'm a big fan of the old design, but it is what it is. We're going to come over here to Tools. We're going to come over here to Planning. We're going to click on Keyword Planner. Now, if you're not familiar with the Keyword Planner, I love it so much. It's absolutely awesome. There are a whole bunch of other tools you can use to find good quality keywords, but the Keyword Planner by far is the best. The reason being is Google has all the firsthand data. It knows exactly what keywords are being bid on and exactly which ones aren't. A lot of the other tools like SEMrush, SpyFu, there's a gazillion of them online. They use all third-party data and they're essentially making guesses and inferences on what is working and what isn't working. Can these tools still be valuable? Absolutely. They're great for coming up with new ideas on what keywords to go after, but they really aren't great for data and building your first starting campaign, especially if you're trying to build it for success. I would highly recommend just sticking with the Google Ads Keyword Planner. It is more than sufficient, and this is the tool we use to build our actual campaign, so it does work. What we're going to do now is hit Discover New Keywords, and this is going to be something super important. You can start with keywords or you can start with a website. I highly recommend just starting with keywords as it's a lot easier. If you start with a website, it's going to pull essentially everything from your website and try to find keywords based on that. Sometimes this is good, more often than not, it's just a giant pain in the butt and you have to revert to this anyways. I just like doing this because it's super simple. You get exactly what you put in. It's easy. What we're going to do here is actually edit these two settings first. If you're using a different language, make sure to enter in the language you want to be actually targeting for this actual plan, because we want to know how many people are going to be actually searching for these search terms so we can make good decisions and go after keywords that actually have search volume as opposed to not. And the second thing is editing the location setting. This is super, super important and you do not want to miss it. We're going to click on it. And what this essentially does is it gathers all the data, search volume, and keywords from a specific location. So for this one, we're going to let's do Ontario. And this is essentially the area you would be planning on advertising in. So whatever you're planning on doing, whether it's a city, whether it's a state, province, whatever it is, enter it in here. Please adjust this. If you do not, you're going to get inaccurate details and you're going to have a little bit of trouble with that. So take it from me. The next thing we're going to do is enter in our services essentially. So if we do pool installation, I'm a big fan of it. You want to check out our Google Ads search campaigns and how to build them. We normally use pool installation examples. They're just easy for me. I've been doing them for years. I'm going to do a pool installation one here, pool installation. Click enter. We'll do vinyl pool installation. And of course, you can enter in your most valuable services here. Fiberglass. Actually, you know what? We'll just do local service pool installation here. This could be fence installation. This could be HVAC installation. This could be a whole plethora of whatever services you are offering. Once this is good and you're happy with all the keywords you've entered in, normally 5 to 10 keywords or services is completely fine. We're going to come over here and hit Get Results. Now, this is going to generate a whole bunch of information, and a lot of people are quickly overwhelmed by this. Do not fear, for I am here. Da, 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 da. It's the one and only Digo Double. This is actually pretty easy, and I'll go over everything here. This is essentially the data. I'm going to start from right to left. I don't know why here. Right to left. July 2023 to July 2024. Normally, I like looking over the past 12 months. This gives a good indicator that the data we are looking at is relevant and fresh. We don't want to be looking at data from 25 years ago. It's not relevant to us. We want to stick within 1 year. That way we know what search volume is coming and when, and if there's any dips in the seasons and what we can expect. Of course, we can't be perfect with predicting it, but we can do our best to try. The next one here is Google and Google search partners. Essentially, if you are struggling with search volume, you can always add these search partners into the actual plan. This will allow you to appear on different partner networks. Normally, I recommend sticking with just Google at the beginning, as Google generally has a higher standard when it comes to advertising practices, and we see higher quality leads coming out of the actual just generic Google search platform. Of course, you can always test it, not a big deal. Language settings, as we've discussed, area settings, as we've discussed. Broaden your search. If you see anything here that you're like, hey, that's a service, that's great, high profit, you can just click on it and add it to the actual list here. Completely fine. What we see here is we have 1,028 keyword ideas available. That is a lot, my goodness. And how are we going to search through all of them? Like, that's going to take forever, right? Well, one of the nice things about this is Google gives us a refined keyword section, which takes a lot of the garbage keywords away that just we would never actually look for. So as you can see here, we have brand, non-brand, amenity, material. Of course, this is going to be dependent on your industry. What we can do is come over here. We're going to leave non-brands in because that's generally what we're going to be going after for a service-based business. Of course, some businesses, they install specific brands, but normally you're not going to be going after a brand, so you can uncheck this. When it comes to contractor, that might be something that would be valuable to your specific company. Splash pools and construction, I'm going to uncheck that. Fiberglass pool company, I think that's fine for now. Other brands, we're going to uncheck that. We'll come down here to amenity. These are essentially the different types of pools. So if we don't do, let's say we don't do indoor, we can uncheck that. Heated pool, maybe we don't. Hot tub, no. Outdoor pool, we do. Materials, maybe we only do vinyl and fiberglass. Concrete, we don't. Tile, don't. Glass, sand, and other, we don't. Services, do we do fence installation and deck installation? Maybe not. We can uncheck those. Others, and you can look through all of this. Of course, this is going to be all different for you, but this will drastically reduce the waste of time you have to go through here. And now we're already down to 400 keywords, or 463 keywords out of 1,028, which is really nice. One of the things, if you don't notice, is you can actually change this. At the very bottom, if you scroll the way down, you can go to 500 instead of 10, which is the default setting. Makes things a lot easier. You can just keep scrolling instead of hitting next page. Another thing you can do is remove keywords. You can add in a phrase, maybe free, quote, pricing, stuff like that, if you want to remove stuff or only target them. A little advanced, but it's fine. We're just going to stick with the current ones for now, as we don't want to get too complicated. What we're going to do now is go through the keywords that are essentially high buying intent. What I mean by high buying intent is clearly the person on the other side of the screen is looking to purchase a service from you. This can easily be determined by looking at the actual keyword and what it says. If someone types in pool installation, generally they're looking for pool installation. If someone types in pools, that could mean a lot of things. That could be pictures of pools, local pools to go swimming in, pool companies looking to hire. There's a lot of things that could mean. And that's a problem that I see a lot in accounts that have not been optimized or built correctly. They use very vague keywords. This, for one, just starts you off in a bad space because clearly you're not going after high quality or high buying intent keywords, which, more often than not convert to sales. And also, when it comes to the optimization process, it's just absolutely terrible, especially for lead generation. Little difference with the e-commerce strategy, but lead generation, the optimization is just going to be absolutely horrid for you because you're going to have to go through all these irrelevant search terms month after month after month of just garbage search terms, and you don't want to do that. So I highly recommend going from the start after high buying intent search terms, and that will allow you to, one, start small and go after your target audience, and then later on you can always grow. You can always add more keywords, you can always add the search network, you can always increase space, we can always grow bigger. But starting really, really big and then refining, I find it shoots yourself in the foot more often than not. So I would stay with high buying intent keywords. That's what we're going to do in this example. So for this one, pool installation, absolutely, yep. And one of the other things I wanted to show you is if we scroll across here, we can see a whole bunch of information that is relevant to us. We have average monthly searches, which is super important. If no one is searching for the keyword, it's of no use to us. I know it may be an amazing keyword, but if no one is going to ever search it, it's no use to us, and we have to build different keyword ad groups and use different keywords. For this example, if you're running a small campaign, usually $1,500 a month, that's going to be anywhere from 100 to 1,000 searches a month, and you're going to want multiple keywords in that category. Generally, once you hit 10 to 100,000 searches a month, you're going to be fine for search volume for a small to medium account. As you can see, 3-month change. This is essentially, is this increasing or is this decreasing over the 3 months? Generally, this is going to be a seasonal trend that if you're doing pool installation in July, it's probably going to be more relevant than if you're doing it in January in Canada. It's going to be very cold. So, 3-month change is going to be down. Year over year, this could be year over year changes, and maybe, something happened where one year everyone was buying pools and the next year they're not. The next thing is, and these things, they matter a little bit, but they're not super important. The average monthly searches is very important. You have to keep an eye on that. Competitors, this is interesting as I don't find it all that accurate sometimes, but it just gives you an idea of how many people are actually going after this keyword and if it's worth going after sometimes. If it's super low in average monthly searches and the competition is super high and the top of page bid range is super high, maybe it's not worth going after. But I like testing these things. Sometimes this is accurate, sometimes it's not. We find that we kind of ignore it more often than not just because it's not perfectly accurate. Google does its best, but you never know. Now we have top of page bid range, low range, and high range, which is essentially saying what is the top of page, like when you're at the very top of Google search, what does that cost you on the high end and what does it cost you on the low end? These are the two numbers. Could be anywhere in between there. It could be lower, it could be higher. Really depends on your situation, what you're going after, what keywords and ad types you're using. It's a good idea of what you're going to be spending on a keyword. And if say this was $150 on the low range and it was $500 on the high range, and you have to get at least 10 clicks a day, normally what we recommend here at Tradesman Digital Marketing, and you go, listen, I just don't have that budget, that's a good idea of saying maybe Google Ads isn't for me. But if you're installing pools, $2 per click to $15 per click, that's reasonable. It's not crazy. Moving forward, let's start clicking all of these keywords and finding good ones. Vinyl pool installation, clearly local pool, not much there. I might add it. Actually, you know what? We'll skip it just because there's not much there. I want to build out good ad groups right now. Pool companies near me. This is something I would say really aware of. If they say pool companies or fencing companies, maybe that's good. It might also mean they're just looking for products that you sell. Maybe it's a type of board for your fence. Maybe it's a certain pool product like chlorine, which maybe it's good, maybe it's not as good. And you got to be aware of that when you're going after companies instead of like installation, builders, contractors, stuff that really shows people are interested. Of course, you can always test it. I would put this into its own ad group, like I'll show you here. We're going to select it. We're going to hit pool builders near me, pool installation, contractors, absolutely. Swimming pool builders, contractors, absolutely. Construction near me, that's a good one as well. In-ground pool, yep. Here's another one that I want to talk about. Cost. If you see price, quote, or cost, or anything kind of related to that for that matter, again, could be a winner, could be a loser, much like the company keyword, which is some people are just going to go for the absolute lowest cost. This is sometimes a problem, and you're just going to get a pain in the butt customer who just wants literally the cheapest thing you got, and you're not going to be able to do good work. Normally, we don't aim for these types of clients. That being said, sometimes the demographic just likes typing in that keyword for whatever reason. And people will type it in and they still want to get, they're just looking for a quote and they're like, yep, I'm happy to pay whatever it is. That's just what they type in. Sometimes it wins, sometimes it loses. I would put it into its own ad group and test it. And if you were unsure about this, maybe go with just the more high buying intent keywords for now. So we'll test that out. Fiberglass, absolutely. Swimming pool contractors near me, fine. In-ground pool cost. Pool contractors, swimming pool construction. Local pool companies. I'm going to skip on that for now. Because did we use the pool companies? You know what? We'll add it because I added that one. Best pool companies near me. We could add that into the local pool companies. That's fine. In-ground pool installation near me. Yep. Pool construction companies near me. Yep, we can do that. And build your own pool. That'll definitely be a no. But once we go through this list and we find all the keywords we like, this could take you a while depending on how many keywords are here. What we're going to do is then export it to a CSV or a spreadsheet. I prefer spreadsheet just because it's easier. The way we do that is once we're happy with all the stuff we have, we hit add keywords to create plan. And what this is going to do is essentially build a plan and a forecast and everything for this. So what we can do is we can come over here to forecast, which is cool. It's going to give us an idea of what we can spend and what we can get out of this, how many clicks, how many conversions. yada, yada, yada. And then we can come over here to save keywords, which is essentially where we're going to export this from. Now, in order to download this, because we're going to want to put all these keywords into their own ad groups so they're themed properly and you get the best results, because then you can put matching ads that are very specific to each keyword, because you want a ad to be representative of the keyword. You don't want to have a keyword that says pool installation near me and then you have an ad that just says pools. People need specific stuff, and generally if you were the most specific on that problem the person is having, they're more likely to click on your ad instead of the competition's ad. So making sure your ad groups are properly themed, very important here. What we're going to do here is hit download. We're going to come over here to Google Sheets. But before we do this, two very important things I just learned actually, because the new update changed this. You have plan forecast, which will not show you your keywords. It will just show you essentially what Google thinks you can get out of it. And then planned historical metrics, which is what we're going to download. This will show you all of your keywords. This took me like 40 minutes to figure out why is this not downloading, because it's newly added to Google Ads. We're going to hit Google Sheets. We're going to hit download. And then this will essentially prepare the report. And then we can open this up inside of our drive. And as you can see, a whole bunch of keywords added. Currency, Canadian, segmentation, that's all great. What I like to do is easily delete all of this, because useless to me. And then I'm going to organize these into ad groups. I'm going to go ahead and do that and then come back and show you my thoughts and why I picked these certain ad groups. So without a doubt, I'll get into that. All right, so now I have segmented all of our keywords into the proper ad groups. I essentially just went and found general themes that are going to be surrounding these keywords. The actual meaning of the ad groups just has to be the same. The keyword doesn't have to be the exact same, but as long as the meaning is essentially the same, Google Ads is completely fine with it. And one of the things I show you in our actual search campaign is how to use dynamic headlines, which in case someone types in pool companies or local pool companies, your ad will just change out the first headline for whatever the person actually typed in, which is absolutely awesome. That way we can have super specific headlines that still essentially mean the same thing. And then the rest of the actual ad can be stuff you entered in, like 24/7 service, where in your areas, maybe it's the GTA, maybe it's in Ontario, whatever it is, you can list all this stuff, but it has the same meaning behind it. So what I did for this one is vinyl pool installation is something all of itself. We only have one keyword here. I created the actual ad groups names, as you can see here. They didn't come with them, I had to create them. But I put vinyl pool installation in that. It's its own thing. If you have a different type of fence, maybe you could add that into its own thing, especially if the profit margins are different. And at some point in time, you might want to segment it out. Generally a good idea to do that now. Fiberglass pool installation, a thing on itself as well. I put in pool cost and quotes as we did, as I was telling you beforehand. We can see in-ground pool cost, pool installation cost. If we had pool quotes, pool installation company quotes or something like that, price, you could put it all into here. That's how I would segment it. In-ground pool installation, making sure that, again, a different type of pool installation as opposed to above ground, indoor, in-ground. They're very different types. And the profit margins on an in-ground pool are going to be very different than an above ground pool, right? So something to consider. Pool companies, I also segmented this out as well into essentially just anything that had companies in it, we put in here. You can see local pool companies near me, swimming pool companies near me, pool companies, again, near me, or best pool companies near me. And as you can see, you start to get a general idea of like, okay, these are themes. Are they all exactly identical? Absolutely not. That's not how Google Ads works anymore. You don't want to put exact. You still could theoretically, but it's just going to be a waste of time because Google's going to show your ads regardless to just a giant amount of people for the most part, even if you're using exact match. So having them in the same ad group and not being able to adapt to that, that's going to be a problem. So you need to figure out how to actually adapt to this new type of match type system. I did an entire video on that as well if you want to check that out. The next one, pool builders and construction. I also threw contractors in here. Builders near me, construction companies near me. That could also go into pool companies if you wanted to, but I thought pool construction generally, that's a pretty good indicator that someone's looking to buy. Pool contractors, pretty similar theme. And then I just had general pool installation in its own category. Swimming pool installation, swimming pool installers, that type of stuff. Once that's all good, you essentially have the majority of your campaign built. All you have to do now is go into your Google Ads account and start building the actual campaign and writing ads for them. If you're interested in that, I have an entire video on how to build your own search campaign. It's completely free and I'll link it up below. Now, if you are building your ads, or maybe you have a campaign that's running now, or you plan to have one in the future, you might want to consider getting an optimization checklist. We have one that's completely free, and it walks you through on what to do on a weekly, monthly, and 3-month basis. And it also lets you to jot down your results so you know exactly if you're making progress month over month, which you should be if you follow this checklist. Now, if you have any comments, questions, or concerns, leave a comment down below. I will do my best to get back to it. Other than that, you guys have a wonderful day. Take care, and I wish you all well.